Small Tales from the Himalayan highlands by Dan Browne. The Wizard of Rainbow Valley. 1, 2, 3, 4, and presto! The wizard waved his wand over the cauldron and a little baby rainbow emerged. Now, you need to cup that in your hands gently, gently, he said to his young apprentice. Bring it over to the balcony and then let it fall into the valley, he said. He watched as the little girl cradled the infant rainbow with care, love, and attention, and he nodded approvingly. She was a natural. The girl brought the rainbow to the balcony and let it drop from her hands into the steaming mist of the falls below. And then the magic happened. The tiny rainbow fell first into the water, fell out of sight, its tiny luminescent colours disappearing for a moment before it shot back out of the mist into a fully formed, grown-up rainbow and then shot off out of the valley. She exclaimed with joy. Look, 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 she said, with excitement to the wizard. Yes, he said, fondly ruffling her hair. You have made your first rainbow. It wasn't strictly true, as the magic that went into the cauldron was a pretty essential part of the process, but that would come in time. Rainbow handling in itself was a very important part of the process, and only those with the kindest of hearts could do it. And she was a natural. You could see the kindness in her eyes. He would teach her more in time, but for now he was happy that she had been the right choice, and he just wanted to encourage her. He'd never had an apprentice before, and he was so old he didn't know how old he was. Truth be told, he could no longer remember how he had been taught, who had been his master. It must have been a very long time ago. As far as he knew, he'd always been here, making rainbows, sending them off into the world and welcoming them back to the valley with their secrets and their stories. They brought him all the stories of the world. So really he never needed to leave, and so he never had, except once, to find her. A rainbow had come back to the valley one day, and it was black. He'd never seen this before in all his years, and he welcomed the rainbow into his little hut that perched high on the side of the deep valley. My good man, what has happened? You've lost your colour. You're nearly fully black. Pray tell me what happened, that you've been robbed of the joy that you bring. Oh, master of the valley, said the rainbow. Most people are shocked to know that rainbows can of course speak. My joy has been robbed of me by the sadness I have seen. I came over the clouds and through the sunshine and into the big city in India, the one people call Bombay. It was hard, master, for my joy to penetrate the dirty, smog-filled clouds and the pollution in the city. But my friend Sunshine shone bright upon me and illuminated me in the most lovely way, and I could see the faces of the people looking up at me and being filled with joy. But, master, I looked down and I looked at those faces and I saw so many that were hungry, master, so many that had not the water to clean the dirt from their eyes to look at me. And they were children, master. So many, many children. Children without homes, without food. Children without love. The wizard and the black rainbow sat in silence, contemplating this sad scene. For if there is one thing that rainbows love, it is the joy of children. It is the purpose of rainbows, to bring joy to the world. And the more joy they bring, the brighter they shine, and the more vibrant their colours. That's why you will always see a particularly bright rainbow when it is being seen by children, for children experience joy much better than adults. So the poor black rainbow should have had his colours replenished by the children of the dirty, smoggy city. But this time it was different. This time the children had no joy to give back. Master, I poured all the joy I had down on them. I could feel my colours fading, and yet still I tried and tried to shine, said the rainbow, upset at the retelling of the story. And then I saw her, master. One girl, homeless and dirty among them all, that was so pure of heart it nearly made me cry. She looked at me and smiled, but there was no joy in her heart. There was such kindness in her soul, but master, the hunger and the dirt and the sores in her feet and the lice in her hair and the ache in her bones was stealing it away. I tried my hardest, master, and poured everything I had into her and the other children, but all I could feel from them was the hopeless, empty hopelessness, he said, breaking down in tears again. The Wizard of Rainbow Valley told him to rest, and thought long and hard on the matter. The next morning, when the rainbow awoke, the wizard was busy brewing and making spells above his cauldron. He was taking rainbows out of the pot and placing them carefully into a large leather satchel he had around his waist. When the bag was packed with rainbows, he placed his travelling hat on. It hadn't been a travelling hat up until that point, as he had never travelled before. "Come on," he said to the black rainbow, "you're coming too." And he placed him in the bag and set off for the first time and left Rainbow Valley. He climbed out of the valley and walked down through the highlands of the majestic mountains and through the villages and down into the plains. He'd walked for quite a long way before the black rainbow suggested that maybe he could take a bus, as that might be a little quicker. And so the Wizard of the Valley and the black rainbow and their satchel of joy packed rainbows boarded the bus number 74 to Chitwan, and from there on to India and the great big city of Bombay. The wizard was not very impressed by the city and what the people had done to the world. But he was here on a mission and tried not to get distracted. So he went looking for the homeless children of Bombay. He did not have to look far. In fact, he did not have to look at all. They found him before he found them. They would come running and begging for rupees from him. And with all the theatrics of a wizard, for they are nothing if not a little theatrical, he would produce a little baby rainbow, and he would carefully hand it to the child. "Now, let it go, and follow it where it leads you," he would say. And one by one, the children would ooh and ah at the beauty of the tiny rainbows. And they went and followed them where they led. For people know that at the end of a rainbow, people will find what it is they need. While some foolish people think that it's a pot of gold you need, the truth is that what you will find is much more valuable than gold. One boy followed his rainbow, and it led him to his parents, far on the other side of the city that he had lost, and so was reunited in love. A girl with a poor limp was brought to the house of a specialist doctor, who took her in and cured her, and trained her as an assistant in medicine. Two twins that were given one rainbow between them were brought back to the bus station and onto a bus and brought all the way back to the village they had been stolen from. And so one by one, child by child, the wizard went through the city, handing out the rainbows that helped them to find the path they needed to follow. And each found the love, the safety that children need, and with it came back their joy. And then he found her. He had no more rainbows left, just the black one. He saw her sitting in the street, clothed in rags, her feet a mess of open sores, begging for alms. As he watched her, he saw her get a little bread from a passing baker that took pity on her. She smiled and thanked him with the smile and accepted the bread. Then she took it straight away to a poor family starving under the bridge and gave it to them without taking a morsel. He approached her, and she asked him for alms. He brought out the poor black rainbow and said, "This is all I have left to share with you, little one." And the little girl took the rainbow in her hands and smiled and spoke to him. "Poor black rainbow, do not be sad. I saw you pass some months ago and saw how hard you tried to give us your joy and your love. I saw how you gave us everything you had. And so I saved some of it for you, for when you would return." And from her tiny, ragged dress, she took the smallest, faintest little light and gave it to the black rainbow. It was the smallest little rainbow of hope he had ever seen. And that, my friends, is how the Wizard of Rainbow Valley found his apprentice.